So there's a real reality in spiritual warfare. And I think the most interesting thing about all this is how good the enemy has covered his tracks. Like, for a lot of people, they don't think that they're in a battle. And for a lot of people who kind of want to just walk away from it, right? Just say that this doesn't exist, this isn't real, this is just superstition that the church believes or things that people say to scare other people. But I want to pose something that's happening right now. And I teach middle school, right? So this is conversations that I have all the time with my kids, especially within religion. TikTok, and I call it TikTok theology at this point, where a lot of people are getting their spiritual information from a social platform. And it's often not from like scholars or teachers or even people who are well versed in what they're speaking about, is often kids. And it begs to think this question, and it reminds me of C.S. Lewis's The Screwtape Letters, where the enemy doesn't show himself fully out, he masks himself in little things. Like, example, one of the things that we're talking about is manifesting. Now, yes, there is a spiritual component to it, a holy component to manifesting things that God has asked us to do with him, to pray to him, that if according to the first book of John, that if it's within his will, it is ours. But this new age spirituality, manifesting, is no longer about receiving things from God, but receiving things from yourself. And if we want to look at this a little broader, look at what the enemy did. Look how he fell. Look what was the thing that brought him down. It was pride. It was ego. It was the ability of him being able to do things despite God. So what happened is that in this new awakening, this new spirituality, spiritual but not religious, in this new time where people say, okay, I no longer need God, the universe will give me something new. And what happens is that the universe becomes our God. We're breaking the first commandment. There is no other God but him. So what the enemy has done is that he's masked this lingo, the language, because he knows how powerful language is. Just simply saying Jesus, there's power behind that name. Simply giving up to God, there's power behind that name. But the moment that I start making the object of my praise and no longer him, then that thing gets the power. And the enemy is not afraid of the universe, he's afraid of God. The enemy is not afraid of a rock, he's afraid of the rock. Not Dwayne Johnson. But the truth is this, is that this new age of spirituality has masked the truth of God and pulled it away, and has become so common, so mainstream, that now the response is to go to something else and not to someone. What is it that allows us to fall into this spiritual war? And not just live it, but lose it. If we keep turning our faith to things, then it's never going to exist. This masking of our pride, our ego, can be our fall too. So this generation, this TikTok generation, where their church is a minute long and their faith is less, has been the downfall of so many Christians. And it's interesting because it's not just kids, right? This broadens out to adults. There are a lot of adults that keep turning to the universe, that keep turning to these other things, that keep saying this because the enemy has defined their God as a rock, as another thing, as an object, and not a living God. So it's time we woke up and got away from this spiritual warfare that we're losing and started going back to his side. Started going to the side where God now becomes the object of our praise, where God now becomes the one we lean on, and where God is the one that is able, not me, but through him we can.